Hello, my name is Omar Rabasad. It's Monday, January 28, 2019 at 6:27 p.m. in Toronto. And as I'm sitting here doing this, I'm getting earaches. So let me see here what my detector is showing. And that was my hand. It's around the temple. Jaw. So this one, the alarm didn't go off. There is a reading, but the alarm wasn't triggered. So this seemed to be a more sensitive detector. So okay, so I am being tracked, and what I just demonstrated happened all day and all night last night. It was hard to sleep. I got stings in my toes. I got pulses in my ears, in my eyes. Like you can see that um, they're not perfectly in sync. That's because my eyes are constantly pulsed, one more than the other. So that's today's very brief demonstration of what I've been through all day today, and the intensity of the pain has increased, and the amount of pulses has decreased. So I would get one or two pulses of very painful sensations in one spot, and then another spot would be targeted the same way. So by the time I got a detector in my hand and I placed it on the spot that hurts, um, it will not trigger. There might be a small reading, but it will not trigger the alarm. So it's that fast, really. It's that fast. So I just wanted to demonstrate that. So I wanted to talk about the way that the community is quote unquote surveilling me. And I wanted to talk about how the trafficking, the suspected trafficking works. These are my suspicions. So, my suspicions of trafficking, I should say. So, in my last job, or my last placement, um, somebody got in contact with me that I had absolutely no previous contact with. I did not know the person. She sent me an email and she called me and identified herself as a headhunter. And she talked about an opening and if she can meet me. So I met her in a public place at McDonald's, and I made a judgment call and decided that she was on the up and up, and I could pursue the opportunity with her, and I did, and it was a very far place from where I live. The company was in another city, basically. And they took me, and I didn't have a car. I still don't have my car up. It took me 3 hours to get there and 3 hours back, but I still wanted to work, so I went to both interviews and I got the job. And then I started getting these pulses of pain a day or two into the job, and intensified, and I was off sick. I went to the hospital, and when I returned, they fired me after only 2 weeks. So I know I was also being viciously verbally harassed. So, um, and when I I stayed home for a while, I was harassed outside my window about what actually happened in the job. So there is a connection between the two. I did work with a few Chinese people, and I heard that one of the Chinese guy co-signed a contract to surveil me, and that's the connection to this building. And I was passed around, but what I wanted to, and that's the pattern that happened in other companies before this one, before the last placement. But what I wanted to talk about was, or focusing on, is the placement itself. How um, I don't remember if I actually sent a resume to this company. If I did, then the company, if I had sent it directly to the company, then the company would have contacted me. But the company didn't contact me. They contacted, I'm suspecting, the headhunter who contacted me. So the headhunter then, I'm suspecting, signed the contract um, with somebody in the company. And I'm getting pulses of pain around the ear here as I'm talking. And it's gone. So, as soon as you pick up the detector, it stops. Um, so the headhunter signs the contract, or co-signs the contract with the person in the company. So it could be anybody in the company. It could be the manager who wanted me for the position. It could be the HR person. It could be another person in the company. Now, why? The question is why. Well, I heard a name, and this person is male and Sri Lankan. So there's a Sri Lankan connection to the people who signed me out to monitor me. Um, there is a Sri Lankan person in my family. The first person who signed me out is Sri Lankan. That's 5 years ago. There was a Sri Lankan person in the company before this one who I heard went to court and got transcripts about the court submissions because I was court transferred back into the system by another Sri Lankan man who happened to be Muslim. So this is a sex slave operation that's being carried out. This is how it's done. And that's the connection. I just made the connection. So my question is, how did this Sri Lankan man, if he's the one who co-signed, how did he know about me? How did he know that my name was on the list? Excuse me, I think I got a sneeze. Sorry, getting these sensations in my nose. Sorry. So, how did he know? Did he know that my name was on the list? Did he know the Sri Lankan person in the previous company I worked for? Is there a passing around to the Sri Lankan group? So, in the last placement, as I said, everything I'm videotaping in this building, in this unit in the building, I felt. But the power and the frequency of being monitored, quote unquote, which means that I was being seen share by the person who had access to this illegal surveillance system that tracks targets and looks at them share, no privacy. So I was being seen share, and I was being seen real time. My desk was probably broadcasted, and I'm suspecting I was experimented on, which is why I ended up in the hospital, as in the last company before that, as in the company before that, I should say. So there is a pattern from for years, from the first time that I noticed, that I should say, from the first time this Muslim person signed me out, quote unquote, and I was a steward. These are the comments I get outside the window. And then my brother, who's now deceased, took on the contract and never told me. So my brother was illegally surveilling me. And his wife was working on his behalf. And people like workers and managers and other companies, while I was being placed within the last 5 years, were working on his behalf because he was the prime holder of the account, and he never disclosed to me. So I'm suspecting that my brother took advantage of this. Keep in mind, my brother is very sick, end-stage kidney failure, and he was on all kinds of drugs, and he was in a lot of pain. So really, he wasn't the one who was managing the account. It was people around him, like his wife, who was managing the account. So, and he was having other people subcontracting from him. So, if he had signed his name on a document, I'm suspecting that he was not to be held responsible because he was being controlled by somebody else. So I'm suspecting from the harassing comments I get that he signed documents and created a trust and placed my condominium that is mine and is exclusively in my name fraudulently in a trust, and he had a subcontractor in one of the companies that I was in to help him convey it into the trust, which is all fraudulent. Again, I was never diagnosed with a mental illness. There are stress-related symptoms, heart issues that's directly related to stress. And I'm suspecting that is also related to some other issues as well, but let's not go into details about that right now. So there's a lot of stress-related symptoms, which is a direct result of being monitored, flagged and monitored. So what I wanted to point out and to connect the dots here is with regard to the trafficking aspect, how it follows ethnic lines, it goes along ethnic lines, and how you're passed around within the same ethnic group. So if a Sri Lankan person holds the account or is subcontracting and has a control over the account, then that person decides who the new seed is. And what the seed, and this is the term that I heard outside the window, what the seed means really is the new remote client who's going to be looking at you share inside of your home as well. And you're going to be showing him, you're going to be doing sexual acts for him. Now, I know that people in this building and the people who signed me out and is subcontracting with the people who did sign me out, like cleaners and other workers, I know they're seeing me share Silhouette Style because this happens so consistently that this event that I'm going to describe happens so consistently that it just has to be true that somebody is looking at my silhouette. If at 3 in the morning I get up to go to the bathroom and immediately somebody knocks underneath the unit loudly, very loudly, either in the loading dock or maybe in the unit or underneath or maybe the unit beside, then, and it happens, it's been happening for years, at least more than 10 years now, then you're being tracked. This happens all the time during the day as well, but I mean, if it happens during the night, 3 in the morning, 1 in the morning, when nobody's supposed to be in the loading dock, when most people are asleep, and it's so perfect, the synchronization of the events are so perfect, then somebody's tracking you when everything else is taken into account. It's just one of the way that it's one of the actions taken by perpetrators to make it known to you that you are being tracked. Just one. So that's the trafficking aspect of this. Um, so it's going on 15 minutes, and maybe I should stop there. So we'll talk to you another time. So let me just see how the radiation is going here. I'm getting stinging sensations on my hand, and it went to 0. So didn't get much itching sensations as I was talking, and the reading is 0. So today was pretty good, not a whole lot of distractions, and I could concentrate a lot better when I don't get these distractions as I'm talking. Talk to you another time.